I want to thank you guys for joining me today. I'm really excited about my next guest, Tammy V. Okay, we're not even going to go over the last name. She and I met organically over Facebook, and we have just been somewhat of kindred spirits after our introduction. We just really have gravitated to one another with the mindset of heroism, and being our own hero to some extent. So we've collaborated on a Facebook Live, and I'm really excited to have her here today because right now a lot of people are needing heroes, and in lieu of this economic situation, we have racial tensions as well as healthcare issues that we all are up in arms dealing with uncertainty and unrest on a daily basis. So I'm excited to have her here so she can share some insight on how we can move forward, what her take is on the situation. And at this time, I want to give her the opportunity to introduce herself before we get into the interview.
Well, awesome. So happy and incredibly honored to be here with you, Lachelle. We didn't meet accidentally. We were two heroes that were waving to one another and, and really saw the hero in each other, and our spirit, I believe, called each other in to become friends and kindred spirits. So, we do speak the hero language. I do believe that, this time more than ever, we do really need incredible mentors, leaders, coaches, heroes in the world to really help us navigate out into a better space and place from where we are right now.
So true. And one of the things that I really am excited to talk to you about is the idea of being your own hero. So as I overcame depression, I recognized that I did a lot of looking out, in terms of expecting this person to save me or blaming this person. But it's that inner strength and that journey and self reflection that helps you recognize the resources that are already there inside you. So I'm excited to hear your insight on how the tools and strategies we can use so that we can be our own hero. And that allows us to shine our light so that other people can recognize their strengths and they can be a hero in their own lives as well.
I'm smiling already from ear to ear because I love this dialogue. I love the conversation, and I love that we speak the same language. Exactly what you're talking about. The first person, and honestly, the only person that we have full autonomy and control over is ourselves. So when we step into our hero, when we really fully embrace all that we can be, that's actually how we can ultimately change the world. Could you imagine if 7 billion people around the world right now just stepped into their own hero, right? Because when you think about it, if you have the strong people carrying everybody on their back, the weaker on their back, what happens is the strong, break their back and the weak forget how to use their legs. What we all need to do is we all have strengths and we all have needs. And so we need to start to really build upon our strengths, and we need to support one another. We need to work collectively and champion one another, but it's about empowerment. It's not about enablement. So we need to stop doing for everyone, step into really becoming all that we can be and be the example so that other people start to step into their strengths, their hero, their genius, and start to come together as as team players and cooperate. Because I do this in kindergarten masterclass all the time. I'll throw beanbags all around and I'll say, let's just envision that this is garbage. And I'm going to pick, one child to pick up all the garbage, and let's time him. Versus, what about if, and I let him do it, right, or her do it, and then it takes them, let's say, 2.5 minutes. But then I say, okay, let's do another challenge. I'm going to throw all these bean bags around, and all you have to do is pick up one and come back to the circle. And we're able to do it under 10 seconds, right? Because all you're doing is doing one. If we all just did one thing, right, focused on ourselves, that is the first step to helping the world transform. And it's what we have complete and full autonomy over. So, you know, I like to talk heroes, and you know, I like speaking hero language. And I always say, what are the attributes of a healthy hero? You know, they have a really positive, healthy mental mindset. They have an I can do it attitude. They make sure they make good choices. They have a healthy body, right? So they're eating healthy, they're putting things, they're taking care of their body, they're exercising. And then they also have a beautiful heart where they give back into the world. So how can we, you know, embody the qualities of a healthy hero and think positively, create mental excellence in our mindfulness, in our choices, in what we allow the thoughts to come in, the conversations that we endorse or celebrate or promote, right? Like, are we spreading lies, or are we speaking, you know, really impeccable with the truth? Because half the time we spread news, it's false news, it's fabricated. We don't even know what the real truth is unless we were there and we witnessed it ourselves. We're spreading a lot of false news, which, you know, what does it do? Does it empower, or does it disable? Does it separate and divide, or does it create unity? Consciousness. So really, I'm very mindful of the conversations that I share, the posts that I put on Facebook, or what I get involved with in talking and conversations. So it's really, really important. And we have a lot of choice in how we show up in the world and how we are going to either react or act deliberately.
I love that. And, you know, I love the element of, you know, taking it as literal as what we post, because these are ways that everybody has a cell phone, even these kids, you know, middle school and up. And, you know, that is one of the just everyday pastimes, is getting on social media, looking at Instagram or looking at Facebook. So this, I think, is something that we can definitely appeal to such a wider audience on the little things that we can do to be a hero when it comes to social media. So for something that everybody is taking part in every day, what are some ways that we could show the hero attributes in our social media frame of reference in terms of what we're doing on social media?
Well, you know, I have my two areas. So I say focus, like, what am I focused on? Right? Because as I'm focused on a specific area, it creates a frequency inside of me. So am I focused on high vibrational thoughts, feelings, actions, or am I focused on low vibrational thought, feelings, actions? And so high vibrational feelings, thoughts, and actions would be love, peace, joy, harmony, compassion, empathy, unity. Low vibrations would be anger, jealousy, fear, resentment, retaliation. Like, again, so if my posts are helping to educate, elevate, and empower, then I put it out there. If I know if it's going to educate more people on untruths, on drama, on gossip, on things that I don't even know if it's true or not, why would I share it? Because it's like spreading a lie, and that lie is going to build momentum, and it's going to build a dominoes effect. It's going to create a dominoes effect into the community. And I want to make sure that I'm educating people from a sound, solid, and pure and loving place. So, you know, is it elevating? Is it elevating people's spirit, right? Or is it deflating them? Is it puncturing them, separating and dividing? And then empowerment. You know, if I can't do something about it, like directly, I'm not going to allow it into my experience, into my thoughts, vibration, conversation, words, energy. But if I can do something about it, then I will do everything I can, but with raising the consciousness of the world, of the planet, of feelings, of emotions, of relationships. So I'm really super mindful about that. And I always say, you know, there's three parts of me. There's my victim, there's my villain, and there's my hero. And every moment I get to decide who I want to step into. Right? Am I going to step into the victim where it's poor me, right? And I'm feeling like I can't do anything, right? And that's very disempowering. Or am I going to step into my villain and I'm going to be resentful and I'm going to get back at people? And that just creates more fuel and separates and divides. But when you step into your hero, a hero is Christ consciousness. A hero is unity consciousness. A hero is here to serve, to share, to empower, and to celebrate our diversity, celebrate our individualities, right? And share our gifts, genius, and superpowers with the world. So I always think, you know, who's going to show up? And at any moment, I can pick up a pen and create a different life. So even let's say I have been the victim for, let's say, the last 5 years, I can decide right here, right now, that I'm done with being the victim. And I'm going to summon and call my beautiful, strong, courageous woman hero in. Right? So it's always a choice, because at some point I could decide, you know what, I'm going to rob the bank and I'm going to go and do this. And I could just turn it as much into the negative as I could in the positive. It's pivoting, right? Which side do we want to pivot, and which side do we really want to step into? It's always a conscious choice, and it's always here and now.
I love that. And so, you know, for many people, this is just such a challenge because, you know, it's your environment. It's something that you have done without even thinking. You know, it's just that subconscious habits that we have from having this mindset and letting it kind of run around in our head without being checked, you know. So one of the terms I say is, you know, I just envision a child running around with scissors, you know, and that's kind of what we sometimes allow ourselves to do, which is kind of reckless.
Right.
So for you being someone who is really key about giving people strategies for creating a system or a different way of thinking in a way that really causes a transformation, what are some things that you do to kind of help people on this journey of rewriting the story from a victim to a victor?
Yeah, you know, honestly, what I absolutely have really formulated to support teachers, coaches, leaders, power parents, I call it my hero's handbag. And you think about it, you think, you know, carpenters have a toolkit, and you think mechanics have a toolkit, doctors have a toolkit, plumbers have a toolkit. Everybody has a toolkit. They go into a space and place and they think, I couldn't even imagine, you know, building a house without my hammer. And yet we don't have really a teacher's toolkit, or we don't have really a parent's toolkit. And I was talking with my power parent this morning, actually, and we were talking about, you know, what is one tool that you couldn't even imagine parenting without? And she goes, Tammy, you know, you're putting me on the spot here and I'm having to think about it. I said, really, this is why we needed, you know, create this universal toolkit, because we don't want to, when we're in, let's say, a pandemic or when we're in a crisis, to have to try to think about that, right? We want to have it available and accessible to us, and be able to grab it right here and now. And so she said, I got it. And I'm going to ask you, Lachelle, to think about, what is your one go-to tool? And I'm going to share with you what she said to me, and you're going to love it, because I know we all do. But she said a book. She said, when I take my little daughter, Lily, she goes, I want to have a book. If I'm going to the park, if I'm going to bed, right, and putting her to sleep, if we're going on vacation, if I'm going on a trip, we have her books. I went, oh, Absolutely. And you know, here's what I love about the hero's journey with Joseph Campbell. What does he talk about? The one common denomination around all ages, denominations, people, places, abilities. It's all about stories. The art of
Mm-hmm.
storytelling. It's how people remember. It's how we escape. It's how we learn. It's how we identify with people, characters, settings, places.
Mm-hmm.
It's the stories are powerful. So when she said B for book, I was like, oh my gosh. And then she said, Tammy, one of my go-tos that I do for personal growth and development is the book, you know, Think and Grow Rich, the principles of how to step into myself and for personal growth and development. And I went, you know, we need our books. We have our adult go-to books as well as children. So I really love that. But
Mm-hmm.
again, she had to search for it. But imagine if every, let's say, new mom coming out of a hospital, right, who
Mm-hmm.
just delivered a baby, right? She had her universal lessons for life, you know, hero's handbag toolkit. And in there,
Mm-hmm.
it said, you want to find a really amazing book. You want, you know, for me, a bell, and I use W for wand. Like, I've got my toolkit that I don't enter into a classroom. I don't enter into, you know, coaching, my cards,
Mm-hmm.
my I am cards that, you know, I love picking those, Lachelle. So
Mm-hmm.
those are in my kit. And wouldn't that be amazing in a library, in a hospital, in a daycare center, in a classroom, where, or coaches who had this universal toolkit for life, this hero's
Mm-hmm.
handbag.
I love that. Yeah, that is just amazing. And I'm thinking book, mine would be a notebook because I am always taking notes and writing things down. Just so many profound things that there was a time that you have interactions with people and it's like, man, I really enjoyed that conversation. We had a good time. And the next day or the day after that, you remember you had a good conversation, but you don't remember what the significance was.
Right.
And it's not until you write it down that you ponder those words and that you figure out ways you can implement whatever lifted you, like what you said before, raises your vibration. It's not going to have that impact if you don't write it down and remember, because one of the things about raising your vibration is you're in one state and you're raising yourself to a new state that you're not familiar with. So if you don't have anything to kind of like set a plank or a footing down, you're going to just go back down to the state you were in before.
Right.
And it's that written word or whatever that concept or belief or perspective is, that's your next step on the journey up the staircase.
I love that. And you know what I think of too when I think of quotes, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then you write that favorite quote, and then that quote grounds you
Mm-hmm.
in that moment. Or I thought of a camera when you said, you know, a notebook, because a lot of people are visual learners and they want this visual diary, right? Of,
Mm-hmm.
you know, of what, like a sunset. That's all somebody would even have to do, is have this, you know, this picture book or these pictures of what can help pivot them and move them from a heavy, dark, sad place and into a
Mm-hmm.
more free, light, higher vibrational thought and feeling. Like even putting a bird, right? And
Mm-hmm.
thinking, okay, freedom, you know, putting the word freedom with a bird flying. But one of
Mm-hmm.
the things, one thing I use, and I love these all the time, because the I am cards that I pick, and I'm going to pick one while we're talking, is this really does help to pivot me. So if I'm in a conversation with someone, or I have friends or family here, and I say, you know what, let's pick a card.
Mm-hmm.
And right off that, it shifts the conversation. And I always say, I don't pick the card picks me. And so today's card, oh, and I love this, it says, I am honest. I
Mm-hmm.
always tell the truth. And you know what I love about that is because honestly, when we think about truth, if we really didn't speak anything but the truth, we would probably speak very little. We
Right.
wouldn't, right? We would not be passing untruths all around. And there's like an ocean of untruths out there because people don't filter that out. They speak it and they repeat it and they don't realize, any one of us can make up a lie and spread that lie. And if we continue to share that lie, we are part of that problem. So, part of it is that if I don't know whether it's true or not, I'm not going to pay it forward.
So good. I love that. And that is so true because, if everything we had to say was honest,
Right.
we would be a lot quieter because a lot of people, there's just times like I just remember being depressed. There are ways that you embellish stories or you say things to deflect people from real issues you may be having so that you mask some of the problems that you may be trying to cover up.
Absolutely. And a lot of times it's not even intentionally, because
Right.
we could be 10 people all witnessing the same thing, but based on our belief systems, what angle we're looking at it from, our point of perspective, our past, our history, we all might have a different perspective on it. So the same thing is like if I'm looking at a leaf from the top view and you're looking at a leaf from the bottom view, we're both describing the leaf. We both are speaking truthfully about it, but we both have two very different points of perspective. So a lot of times, we start to fill in the missing information. And how many of us have played the game telephone, right? Where we tell the story, and by the time it comes back around, it's completely fabricated. That alone, right, creates so much noise in the world, excessive noise, that we don't even know what's true, what's not true. And part of it is, what part are we playing in that? What part is our responsibility? So, the hero's handbag is all about A, for attitude, right? Are you coming into the world with a positive attitude or a negative attitude? Are you seeing the cup half full, half empty? B is our behavior and our beliefs, right? Our belief systems. So again, how many of truths are we taking on as our own, and how many are lies? Like if you think about 500 years ago, there's a lot of lies that were carried forth. And are we just believing them because our parents and our generation have just told us? Right? Or
so true. Yeah, because that's have you read the 4 Agreements?
Yes, I have.
So that's definitely something that applies right there. That's good. Okay.
Yeah. So, and then even as a school teacher, am I just teaching the way, teachers taught and have taught for the last 10, 15, 20, 100 years? Or am I looking, at the children, at the situation right here, right now? And am I, using my own mind? Am I using my intuition to shift and adapt? And again, with parenting, are we parenting with sticks? Like they might have done 20, 30, 50 years ago? Or are we evolved? Like 2,000 years ago, stoning was an acceptable practice. At some point, we have to let go of patterns of belief systems that no longer serve us. And when we know better, we do better. So, really letting go of those old beliefs and belief patterns and that hold us back, or that don't allow our spirit to evolve, right? In a beautiful way. And then, so C of the hero's handbag is all about choices. Choices, is this going to make our life better, worse, or the same? So it's a conscious choice when we choose to hold a better feeling thought or a lesser thought that's going to make us feel heavy and deflated. And then either our dark or our diamonds. Are we focused on, what's bad about what's happening with the pandemic and all the awful things? Or are we looking at all the good things that are going to result as this is all happening. So then the other one is our emotions, right? Are we holding on to high vibrational emotions or low? And then F is all about future. You know, we decide right here and now what we want that story to look like, sound like, feel like. We are the authors of our life. And what pen, right, in your notebook, are you going to start writing? Is it going to be the hero's journey? Is it going to be the villain's journey? Or is it going to be the victim's journey?
So true. That's good. And I love the whole thing about the choices. Is it going to be better, worse, or the same?
Right.
So this is key for somebody who, you know, we are used to blaming people outside of ourselves or circumstances or situations.
Right.
What is something that the listeners can do or maybe ask themselves to kind of flip the switch on recognizing the choices that they have?
I love this question because what I use every single day of my life is I know in my heart for every problem there is a solution, and for every solution there is a problem. One thing I keep in my hero's handbag is a coin, and I say, you know, am I seeking to find the solution in this, or am I seeking to find the problem in this? And I get to decide what I'm going to focus on. So I don't even want to go over and review the 1,000 doors that are closed, and I'm looking for the one door that's open, the one option and one solution. I'm not sitting around the table focused on the problems, the problem dwellers, I call them, or the solution seekers. So part of it is really about, again, our choice. And what I like to say is, how is this happening for me? So I'll give you an example. Even when I was diagnosed with diabetes, and the doctor literally said, Tammy, you're in such bad shape, you're going to have no hands and feet by 44. And that was a big wake-up call. So I had one of two options. I could sit there and feel like my victim, and poor me, my life, my responsibility, or I could say, no way. You know what? I'm going to do absolutely everything in my power to step into my hero and change my future situation. And I'll tell you something, I look better now and feel better now, and I'm going to be turning 50 than I did at 30.
Amen. Yeah.
Hands down. My life, my responsibility. I could have played the victim card. And I thought, if I do, you know, when I'm 44 years old and I'm sitting in that wheelchair, the only person I will be able to blame is myself, or what actions or inactions I took. So I got on the computer and I started how to reverse diabetes, and I became my biggest fan, my biggest champion, my biggest advocate on how to transform my life.
That is amazing.
Right? So that it starts with us. Regardless of your diagnosis, regardless of what your situation is, you know, if you found yourself into that hole, if you take responsibility, you also can get yourself out of the hole.
I love that. And this is great. So you have a program that you are implementing, because I think this is so key right now for a lot of people who you know, this future, you know, they want to have brighter. You know, you have so much gloom and doom, you know, people not having a job, or they have to reinvent themselves, or, you know, they're having this idea that this is the last of the days, you know, because this pandemic is spread across the world and all these different things. So this is a perfect time for people to decide what kind of future they do want and get the help in seeing something positive.
Absolutely. And how I look at it is, we again can look at this two ways. We can look at it as, oh my God, I lost my job, right? And what am I going to do? Or, okay, so I've lost my job. This is giving me time to be super self-reflective. And now I'm going to really figure out my personal path, my profile, and really what lights me up, my purpose, my passion. And when I re-enter into the world right now, there is so much free content, free opportunities, everybody's sharing information. Most of it is free. I am educating right now. And I am really going to re-enter into the world, into a better version of myself than I ever have, because the whole world has allowed us to stop and become more self-reflective. So we can either play that victim card, right? And see it as something awful and bad, just like I could have chosen to think that way about the diagnosis of my diabetes, or I could have, like I chose, to be that person who started on my journey to health and wellness. I thought, you know what, this is going to be the catalyst that's going to help me on the journey to health and wellness. And I am going to do everything I can to transform my mind, my body, and my health. So I took it like a full-time job, and I let go of friends, relationships, positions. My, wake-up call was long ago. It was where some people, their wake-up call is right here, right now. So that's why I'm able to show up as a leader and a mentor, because I already had my wake-up call, 20 years ago. And now I have the skills, the tools, and the strategies to help other people out of that dark, dreary hole and into their light.
So true. So true.
Like
So,
you, right?
go ahead.
Like
I'm
you.
sorry. Absolutely. Because it takes definitely a village, because we're all on different journeys, different pathways, coming from different places. And I think this is key too, is to recognize that we can all talk the same language of heroism, but it looks different to everybody based on their own story and shoes that they walk in, so to speak. So I love that, being able to take it from different angles. So what is the best way for people to get a hold of you?
So right now I'm doing a Facebook boot camp challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm doing on Thursday, because I'm starting it on Thursdays, on Thankful Thursdays, I'm going to be doing a live interview talking more about it on Monday
Mm-hmm.
and Tuesday. So you can, look me up, and I'm Tammy Vallieres is my
Mm-hmm.
Facebook name. And I've got a program called quest.growyourhero.com. So you can learn a little bit about me and, the hero's handbag. And there's a free quest. You can take the free quest initially to start your journey to joy. And, if you wanted to come and get some mentorship, the first 3 weeks that I'm going to be doing are all free mentorship, community group building, and everybody being able to start their hero's handbag. So there's nothing to lose and everything to gain right now in starting this boot camp and really starting your journey to transformation.
So good. So good. I love that. And, one of the things that I would challenge us all to be thinking about is, being able to explore, be creative, and kind of unlock that child within inside of us, because just as you said, there is an opportunity for us to take this time and explore things that we never really have had the time to explore.
Yeah.
And, just not being married to the outcomes, just having the creativity and curiosity like kids. Kids will, if you just put them in a room full of all kinds of arts and crafts and blocks and, whatever, you name it, they just can have a field day with creating things that allow them the freedom to just explore without judgment. And so I think if people really take this time to look at the things that they're learning as, not even judging themselves, not thinking about, am I doing this good? But
No.
just really being intentional about whatever it is that they're learning, so that they can begin to explore different avenues that they may really enjoy, you know.
Absolutely. And I teach kindergarten master class, right? So
Mhm.
I always say they are my greatest teachers. I am trying to, each day I go into the classroom and work with them, I am trying to unlearn everything I have learned, because
Mhm.
I know that they are the geniuses on the planet right now, right?
Mhm.
4 and 5-year-olds are the 98% geniuses on the planet. And by the time
Mm.
we hit age 30, we're at 2% genius, because we have bought into the lies, we bought into the paradigms, the old belief systems, and it strips away our little beautiful light, our inner spirit, our genius, our imagination, our creativity. Children aren't born prejudice, right? They aren't
Mhm.
born, seeing colors, abilities, titles, race. They're not born seeing that. We are taught those things. So
Mhm.
we have to go back to the age of time where children are really the example of
Mhm.
how to come together in Christ consciousness and unity, right? The global
Mhm.
consciousness. So
Mhm.
I love being in children because they're so loving, they're so compassionate, they're
Mhm.
so forgiving, right? They're
Mhm.
just little beams of light. And I want to allow them that space to grow and show me, right? So show me how to become more like them. And I really truly believe
Mhm.
it's like entering into heaven's gates through the eyes of a child.
So true. That is just awesome. Well, this has just been a great conversation with so many nuggets. I have notes on top of notes. I tell you, I love it. And I am looking forward to our next collaboration, because I'm telling you, just I learn something every time. So, and I love that whole thing about I am honest. I always tell the truth. And that's just something that I would challenge
Mhm.
everybody to just ask yourself. When you are scrolling through social media, or, having a conversation with somebody, really being to the point of saying that I am honest. I am always telling the truth, using that filter, in order for you to begin your own journey of raising your vibration. So,
Well, I,
mhm,
I love that that's the card that came up, right, Lachelle? Like it
mhm,
always seems to be the right card. I also want to say, one of the things I'm going to be doing in my Heroes Handbag Boot Camp is I've been part of a book called Awaken Your Inner Hero, featuring 50 kid heroes across Canada.
mhm,
We want to do a book featuring youth heroes around the world. But
mhm,
children really do have the authenticity, and they show up with that moral compass that we can all learn and grow and prosper from. So part of what I'm going to be doing in that camp is talking about the first 3 children, youth in the book, and their mentorship and their stories. And that's going to be all for free as well, complimentary gift, being part of it. So I really want to invite families, parents, teachers, coaches, power parents to join, and even maybe come in with their own little micro group, and then
mhm,
start to work together, right? Really
mhm.
shift their perspective and really start to change the conversations, and changing the culture, climate conversations at home, school, and throughout their community. And it starts with small little groups. So, Lachelle, if you know a group or parent group that would like to come in, and then you guys take that journey and go off in your own leadership group, that would be amazing. Or if there's people listening that want to do
Mhm.
this, we're starting it on Thursday. And I'll help you guys with the foundation, the support, the materials, the resources, and help you build your toolkit, the hero's handbag. And then you guys go out into your own group and create that beautiful dialogue in that community.
I love that. And I love the aspect of community and doing it in groups.
Yeah.
That just sets you up for success, because there's so many times that we go to a retreat, we listen to a training,
Mhm.
and then we go and try to take on the whole world, so to speak, of our community, be it our family, our job with our coworkers, and we don't have that leverage of more than one person helping you to be the change. But when you start with a group and you have that added support, that just makes your change one faster,
Yeah.
and it makes it more impactful because there are more people doing those small little things at one time, which really increases that compound impact and effect.
Heroes united, right? And everybody can leverage each other's
Yes.
geniuses, skills, talents, superpowers. And when you come together, they say if you want to go alone, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with the community and go the distance. So part
Mhm.
of it is like if you had the tips, the tools, the strategies, and that initial mentorship, that's all you need, because everybody then can start to go into that group and form your own vision and support community. So that's what, honestly, I want to create leaders, and I want to help
Mhm.
communities change that culture, climate conversation to really
Mhm.
empower them and then make it their own. So I,
Mhm.
I hope we get, the right people, and I always trust the right people will show up, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and I really want to help empower others. Like right now more than ever, there's a lot of time right now on my hands because I'm at home, right? Normally I'm in the hospital.
Mhm.
So this has been allowed me the space and place to be able to create these programs. Otherwise I wouldn't have the time to do it.
That's awesome. Well, I want to thank you again, Tammy, for all your insight. And, I encourage all the listeners to take a leap, just do it. This is free. This gives you the opportunity to explore, see
Mhm.
something from another lens, and see where that leads you. Be open to new opportunities because you never know what greater things could be down the pike.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, and,
So,
and reach out to Lachelle too. Like if somebody, wants to connect with me, Lachelle, I know this is your audience
mm-hmm.
group, and if they want to, you can just redirect them to me. So I'm
No,
more than happy to help and mentor and support.
awesome.
Thank you
Well,
so
thank you
much.
again. You are so welcome, and I look forward to our next collaboration.
Me too. It's always awesome. Heroes United.
Heroes United.
Woo-hoo.
All right. Thank you so much. What a great interview. I really enjoyed all the insight about having your own toolkit. That is so important when it comes to moving forward during changing times, not just during a pandemic, but always. So, great insight we got from Tammy. And if you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, please email me at info@lachelleatkins.com. You can also reach out to me through Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, or my YouTube channel. And if there's something in this podcast that resonates with you, please share it with others. And you can also do a review so that other people may find out about these great insights that can help enrich the lives of others and help them to be a better version of themselves. Thanks so much for listening.